I'm Major Jeff Cotner with the Dallas Police Department's Crimes Against Persons Division. I'm here tonight to update y'all on the ongoing investigation of the series of sexual assault offenses near Fair Park. Today, laboratory results were returned on 3 more DNA samples that have been submitted. In each case, those DNA profiles matched exactly to the DNA profile of suspect Van Dixson. As such, 3 additional arrest warrants for aggravated sex assault felony 1 have been obtained. That makes a total of 4 arrest warrants for suspect Dixon. Each arrest warrant has a bond of $1 million. Laboratory results are pending in 2 offenses. In 3 of the offenses of the 9, physical evidence was unavailable. Suspect Dixon's DNA profile will be entered into the state and then the national database. So if he's responsible for any other offense and there's DNA profile out there, there will be a match in that regard. Let me talk a little bit about Mr. Dixon. When we came about Mr. Dixon, our suspect Dixon, our efforts in that regard, and I got to read here just a little bit, y'all. I'm afraid I'm going to knock something off here. Tuesday evening on September 3rd, about 8:30, we had a press conference and we announced that we had a serial rapist. At that time, we asked for Crime Stoppers tips. On Wednesday, the 4th, we received a Crime Stopper tip regarding suspect Dixon. Officers then developed information on Mr. Dixon's whereabouts, and he was brought to DPD headquarters and he was interviewed. Mr. Dixon at that time provided a DNA sample, which is a swab, a saliva swab. He also returned back to his residence in the 4700 block of Baldwin with detectives, where he allowed us to search his house and his vehicle. Suspect Dixon was released at that time. We had no charges on him. Mr. Dixon's Saturn, his 2003 Saturn, was parked at a McDonald's restaurant at 3205 South Garland Road on the morning of Thursday, September 5th. It was parked about 8 a.m. There's video of suspect Dixon walking away from his vehicle. And we've collaborated that with family members who know him and know what he wears. The DNA profile identifying Mr. Dixon was returned on Saturday the 7th. And I will share with you that that profile is the August 30th offense. Following that, detectives executed a search warrant at suspect Dixon's residence at 4700 Baldwin and recovered items pursuant to the scope of the search warrant. Suspect Dixon's car was identified on Sunday. So that would have been yesterday, the 8th. Since it had been parked there for a couple of days, employees of the McDonald's realized it was unusual. They were executing just a private tow off the property. It was then determined to be related to our search. And our detectives have been notified. It's at our Dallas Police Auto Pound, and a search warrant is pending on it. Go back here just 1 second, please. Talk a little bit about the search efforts for suspect Dixon. The Dallas Police Department is taking very aggressive and proactive efforts to find Mr. Dixon. We have thoroughly interviewed friends, associates, family members, his employer, and anybody that has led us with a tip. We have doing everything possible to determine his whereabouts. We've also are working with our federal authorities, and they are giving us some extra assistance in this regard. We continue to need tips. And here's the tip line is up on the screen. We continue to need tips. The Crime Stoppers reward of $5,000 is still active, and the Oak Farms reward of $10,000 is still active in the arrest and indictment of suspect Dixon. Question?
Major, why was Dixon's photo released to the public before a photo lineup could be shown to the victims, considering the fact that DNA evidence doesn't exist in 3 of the cases?
Well, Dixon's photo was shown to the public on Saturday when we obtained the arrest warrant for him. We had evidence submitted at that time. It was more important to get him into custody. One of the things, JD, remember that in each case of these 9 offenses, our suspect's face was covered. Our ability to use any sort of sketch or any sort of lineup is extremely limited. And in today's modern technology, photo lineups and a sexual assault conviction is probably evidence that is not given much weight anyway.
What were you able to find in the second search of Dixon's home?
I'm not going to talk about the things we recovered in any of the searches.
Do you think he's still armed?
Oh, I don't know, but I think based upon his actions in each offense, the public should be vigilant and consider that he may be armed. He was violent.
Major, do you believe that he's still in the Dallas area, or is there a chance he could be relatives or other connections that he's outside of?
I do not know where Mr. Dixon's whereabouts are.
What made him a suspect the first time you brought him in to give DNA evidence?
Suspect Dixon was a person of interest on the tip, and so he became a suspect when we received confirmation that his DNA profile matched one of our victims.
Was it just a tip that caught you for him?
It was just a tip, yes, sir.
When did you get that tip?
We got that tip on Wednesday. Yes, sir.
Was there anything about that tip that led you to believe, okay, we have to investigate this person? What did the tipster say that?
I'm not going to go into the specifics about the tip, but the information did drive us towards suspect Dixon, and of course his vehicle was similar to that, just being reported in the offenses.
At that time, did you ask him, Mr. Dixon, would you please stick around the area in case we have more questions for you, or there's really, I guess there's nothing you can do, there's no warrant?
We had no indication, based upon our interview with suspect Dixon, that he would flee.
One more question.
Has Alan Mason now been cleared as a person of interest?
Alan Mason remains a person of interest. Mr. Mason also provided a DNA swab when he was interviewed on Thursday. That DNA swab is being used to eliminate his involvement in any of the offenses. We have 2 remaining offenses in which we have laboratory results pending.
All right, that's it. That's the last question.
Has Mason's
Sorry.
DNA been